So you have finally taken the huge leap of making the decision to move abroad. You get all excited and do what you need to do, and on the D-Day you head to the airport. As the plane takes off, you take one long sentimental look at the city that you're saying farewell to, either temporarily or permanently. You arrive at your country of destination and you can't believe you're finally there. It's all fun and excitement as you try to settle in, and then slowly, week after week, an unwelcome feeling starts to creep in, and that is the feeling of loneliness. Hello and Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lydia Atandi. I speak about things that I'm passionate about. We're currently on a series called the Diaspora Honey and Beestings, and under that we talk about the ups and downs of living abroad. Just a little bit of a background. I was born and raised in Kenya and have lived there for most of my life so far. I moved to the US in 2014, and guess what? 2 weeks ago on my birthday, I completed 10 years in the US. That is still unbelievable to me, you guys. So today we will be dissecting a hot topic, and that is loneliness on arrival abroad. And I will also share a few things that I did to tackle it. So I will start off by saying that the social life element varies widely from person to person for people that are living abroad. I would be lying if I said that my experience is a one-size-fits-all. For that reason, I will be sharing mainly from my encounter and a little about my general observation of different people's experiences. So there's two phases of loneliness that are commonly experienced by people that relocate to different countries. The first phase is the one experienced shortly after relocating, and the other one is experienced after settling in and getting the hang of things. Today we will be discussing the first category, which is loneliness upon relocating. Let's jump into it. So, did I experience loneliness when I first moved abroad? The accurate answer to that is yes, I did. Yes, I did. About a month after I moved, I started having some feelings of loneliness, but honestly, it wasn't to a large or crippling extent. It wasn't to an extent where it was a major issue, but I still have to acknowledge the fact that it was there. I'll let you in on some factors that contributed to loneliness for me and can contribute to feelings of loneliness when you first relocate. So the number one causative factor for loneliness is the massive downsizing of your social circle. Typically, when you have a geographical change for a significant amount of time in your life, some friendships will become less close and others will strengthen. Not because of anything that anyone has done, but because such is life. We are bound to form closer bonds with people that we're in close proximity with physically. When you are relocating, one helpful tip will be to be mentally prepared and to accept the fact that some friendships will dwindle and others unfortunately will die. And though this is an unpleasant truth, but we've got to come to terms with the reality of it if we want to cope better with it. Another factor that contributes to feelings of loneliness when you initially move abroad is interruption of your regular routine. When you live in your home country, you are probably used to a set routine, going to work or school, coming back home, and so on and so forth. For most people, they don't just jump into a new routine when they relocate. There's usually that period when your life is sort of at a standstill and you have a lot of time to yourself as you try to establish a new routine. That period often tends to get quite lonely. The third contributory factor for loneliness is, for some people, all they got is themselves. When I relocated, I was hosted by my cousin and by his wife, who were very receptive, and they helped me have a head start to my journey abroad, and for that I am very grateful. Many people live with hosts when they first move, and that can be a good springboard when you are starting life afresh somewhere. However, some people don't get to have that head start. Some people don't have anyone to host them when they move, and they don't have a single person they know that can help them navigate life in the new place. While of course many people get through this phase, and some of the most beautiful and successful stories of people that are moved abroad are by people that went through this, but I just wanted to appreciate the fact that this phase can be extremely frustrating, and to add on it, it can be very lonely. Also, there are some people who live with hosts, but they still feel like they are on the journey by themselves because they don't feel the warmth or positive energy from their hosts, and that can be a very lonely place to be. Another reason why moving abroad can be lonely is the minority factor. So, and I like to make fun of them. There's some outliers for this in the Kenyan community include those Kisis that live in Minnesota or those Cukes that have settled in Seattle. These are examples of people who, though they have moved to a different country, they probably don't feel as much the effect of being a minority because there's so many people in their new location who are from their country of origin. I will speak though on behalf of those who have the classical story, and I like to think of mine as such. I am a Kenyan who moved to the state of Kansas. Kansas has a good number of people of color, but if you are a black person, you still are a minority. Now, if you are an African black person, you are a minority within that minority group. This is not to say that I didn't want to relate with other groups of people. Actually, over the 10 years that I have lived in the US, I have formed solid friendship with people of different nationalities, and some of my best friends are not from my race or the same background or anything. My point, however, is that at the beginning of my journey, I gravitated more towards people of my nationality when forming friendships. And that's just because I found it easier to relate with them because we had similar experiences and challenges. When those people that you can easier relate with at the beginning are also a minority and you rarely come across them, it tends to get quite lonely. The other factor that can contribute to feelings of loneliness when you first relocate is the shock of adapting to the new lifestyle. One of my greatest wonders and things that I was shocked about when I relocated was that there was no one walking the streets. Literally, this was such a shocking phenomenon to me, especially after being used to seeing many people walking the streets on a daily. Also, I found the lifestyle abroad to be more individualized in that you can live your life so quietly and self-sufficiently for years without anyone knowing a thing about your business. It's nice that you can live your life privately if you want to, but that can come with its own sting of loneliness. Let's move on to how I coped. One thing that helped me not feel the loneliness as deeply was that when I was relocating in 2014, that was a time when global connections were starting to peak. One feature I am eternally grateful for is WhatsApp. I moved at a time when WhatsApp had just enabled its users to make calls to many places across the world. This was a lifesaver to me because it enabled me to stay connected to my family and my friends back at home. Long before that, people had to buy call cards that helped them call loved ones back at home for limited periods of time. And this was a great way to stay connected, but it's just priceless to be able to wake up and call your loved ones at any time, so long as you both have internet connection. Another thing that helps soften the effect of loneliness is social media. I know social media is a double-edged sword and that friendships in social media are not as deep as those in real life. Nonetheless, if we go back to basics and utilize social media for what its initial intended purpose was, which is to connect with friends and loved ones, social media in moderation, if there's anything like that, can be a great way to connect with people from different periods of your life. The other thing that helped me not experience loneliness to an overwhelming extent is being intentional in forming and maintaining meaningful connections. Of course, caution and wisdom should be exercised when deciding who to form or maintain friendships with, because there are some people that masquerade as friends while in actual sense they are not. However, there are some people that have taken the whole caution thing to a whole new level and built such a high wall between themselves and others, some understandably so because of the number of times they have been betrayed in the past. But even so, I still believe that maintaining healthy connections, even just with one trusted individual, is very beneficial. In my next video, I will be discussing loneliness after settling in, and that's where more of the tea is. You don't want to miss out on that. I will also be sharing other helpful tips I employed for dealing with loneliness. But before then, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a very blessed and fruitful year. Cheers, and I will see you in the next video.